I think one of the most interesting front wings right now on the market is the Art Pro 1401, and here I'm sharing my first impression with it that I had the opportunity to test it. I use it with my gong board because I'm used to that, and then I also put a bigger stab on it because I'm used bigger stabs. I use it with the Alu Mast for 75 centimeters, 90 millimeters, and they have different fuselages. I use the Advanced Plus fuselage in crazy short. You have different sizes and you have different options how close the front wing is to the mast, which has different ways to go. And here I tried it with the first times and I fell and I didn't succeed in the beginning because it felt like I had no lift, but I'm coming from a really big front wing, so I put a bigger stab on it and then it was immediately working. I could pump it. It felt like really playful, really fast. It was a lot of fun to pump it and it felt like a great front wing. And so for the next rounds I reduced the stab and put like smaller stabs on because they got Access recommends kind of smaller stabs. So I think the first impression was like it's a lot of fun to pump this front wing, and Access brought out the 1211, which was a bit more difficult to start it and required a bit higher speed, but now the 1401 is like really interesting for normal pump foiling on flat water. It has enough glide, but it's also enough playful, so you get a quite of very good compromise between the two options. I could pump like for quite long, even with smaller steps. It's quite of fun. It feels also very stiff. I cannot say anything much to the fuselage. I didn't test the different fuselages, but I tested this front wing with different stabs, and so far, at least on this day, I saw a lot of Art 1401s, which I think are quite interesting to use. You can turn quite well, you can play around with it, which makes a lot of fun. So this is like my first impression. I think this is one of the most interesting front wings. I'm using a Gong Cyrus XXL, but I guess the Cyrus XL would get quite close to the 1401. It would be really interesting to compare them two together and then try to kind of make it really similar with the fuselage and also with the stab, because honestly this fuselage and also the stab quite make some difference, and so if you want to compare it, I think you need to kind of make sure that the mast, the stab and the fuselage are kind of the same, and then you can really feel the difference. But I think it's difficult to say which is really the best. Everybody has an opinion on it, everybody has a different feel, but there's so many different components, it's quite difficult to really tell how great the front wing is. But probably if you have the chance to check the 1401 out, really do it. It's probably quite interesting, and I'm really excited to see what Gong will do, because they update their front wings quite often, and so at some point I think the Cyrus, they will bring out a second version, and then the competition gets a bit more interesting to see how like the new Cyrus XL and the Art 1401 will behave. It's also interesting to see if Access will bring out the bigger front wing like Indiana did, or Gong has, or subfoil to go like subfoiling. Maybe they bring out a 1601. I have no idea about that. These are just some of my thoughts and ideas. Maybe you know more of that, then write it in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for writing your thoughts and questions. I am not an expert. I tested quite different front wings and systems right now from Indiana, subfoil, Gong and Access. This is just my impression, first day trying it. It's really a lot of fun. I guess if you really compare it, you need way more time to spend with both systems. Otherwise, if you have any questions, any thoughts to it, write it down in the comments. Thank you for watching. May the foil be with you always.